What's up, everybody? We are back here live. Instead of just giving y'all tape can responses for y'all to respond to and not get anything back, we're here.
I prefer the tape responses.
That's not really a good back and forth between people, is it?
Uh, I mean, it is what it is.
Okay. Are you here today? I know you had a little adventure earlier. Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, let's see what we got. What we got going on? I see IMAX in there. I see James Smith. I see Pajon J. I know some other people are coming in. Yeah. So for those who are new to the channel, this is We Try and Slash. What else are we called?
Nerdy by Nature Productions.
What else? I feel like you got some other names.
That's all I got.
Okay, that's all we got so far. Yeah. So the past couple of weeks, we've been giving you guys at least something, some sort of content, at least weekly on those Saturdays, just to tide you over until we could come back with live stuff. But we were both free today. Even though I am on call, we will still do something today. And we thought we could talk about We Tryin' Boys. Yeah, fair enough. That's always good too. We Tryin' Boys. We did this, I guess, maybe in January. I guess probably talked about the DCEU and James Gunn's announcement or whatever. So we figured we could do the same talking about Marvel. Phase 5 is officially underway. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and in my subtitle I put Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, and it was okay. And is that okay that it was okay? I don't think anybody would argue the critical and commercial reception for Marvel movies has dropped since Endgame and Infinity War. So I guess we're just going to talk about, have they lost their mojo? Do we still believe in Kevin Feige? Is he everything? All that kind of stuff.
Well, go ahead.
I mean, I just talked for about 30 seconds. Thought you was going to say something.
I'm trying to pull up the other phases.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I mean, I'll kick it off. I am cautiously optimistic for where Marvel's going. I've said this before and I'll say it again. So far, every movie that's been part of the MCU, I haven't hated any of them. I've just liked some less than the others, which is a big distinction because I remember before there have been superhero movies before the age of the MCU that I hated. And were like, man, this is bad, or I hate watch, like I hate to watch it, that type of, or I love to hate it, that type of thing. With the MCU, the worst movies for me would probably be Thor: Dark World, and my biggest complaint of that it was boring. Just felt like it kind of didn't go anywhere. Um, so yeah, I think grading on a curve, I've enjoyed Marvel so far, but I am just kind of like, what's going on? We know Phase 4 was, some people say experimental, some people say it out there. It was kind of setting up stuff for multiverse and whatnot. We got a lot of different tendrils out there in the MCU. Hoping some of this stuff's going to start paying off. By the way, Ant-Man and the Wasp has been out for what, 2-3 weeks now, so we will talk
3
about
weeks.
spoilers for that. Yeah, I think we can talk about spoilers at this point for Ant-Man and the Wasp and anything that's been released in the MCU so far. And with our comic book man here, we can speculate on what's coming up.
All right, so
Oh, yeah.
I've got all 4 phases up.
Mm-hmm.
So we just ended phase 4. Phase 4 comprised of the first round of Marvel shows, and I
Oh, hold
think
on 1 second. IMAX, we might do like light spoilers on Ant-Man and the Wasp, but we will talk about it a little bit, but we'll try to give you a heads up. Go ahead, sorry.
Scott Lang dies.
Why would you do that to that man? That's not necessary.
I'm gonna give fake spoilers.
Scott Lang is a Power Ranger. He turns into a Voltron. Whatever. Sure.
Skeletor finds the 7 rings of power from Avatar, the Fire Nation, and they team up with Velma and the Scooby-Doo gang. And
Goku comes in and throws a Kamehameha. Yeah, all this. Yep.
They take
crazy
on,
movie.
They take on Godzilla while King Kong pilots Wing Zero.
I feel like you put all the franchises now at this point.
And And at the end, Vin Diesel comes in and says "family" while riding on the hood of a Charger with chains, flame chains, as he embodies the spirit of Ghost Rider.
Okay, there we go. So what were you saying about the phases, sir?
Um, how much the list? 66. What?
Apparently, Leroy is in the process of selling some stuff.
No, my wife is trying to sell all my stuff. Um, so there are five so far. Where we have five phases of Marvel movies. Marvel has kicked off a 12-year run at the box office. Um, is it 12 or is it? Are we at 14, 13 now?
I mean, the first one was 2008, right? Iron Man 1 was 2008.
Was it? Yeah, 2008. So so here's the first phase: Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America: The First Avenger, and the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
That's phase one, according to Wikipedia. Phase two, Iron kicks off with Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Ant Man. Phase three is kicks off with Captain America: Civil War. That's what you get. She almost fell. Doctor Strange,
That's
Guardians
your
of the
wife, sir.
Galaxy. I said what I said.
All right.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant Man and the Wasp, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider Man Far From Home, which ends phase three. Um, phase four is, again, as I said, the beginning of the Marvel shows with the movies. So this is the largest cadre of movies, television shows, and specials. Here we go. WandaVision series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki. Those three are series. Black Widow movie, What If series, animation, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings movie, Eternals movie, Hawkeye series, Spider-Man No Way Home movie, Moon Knight series, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness movie, Miss Marvel series, Thor Love and Thunder movie, I Am Groot series of shorts, She-Hulk Attorney at Law series, Werewolf by Night, Disney Plus special, Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, Disney Plus special. I am of the mindset that phase four is probably the most experimental since phase one. And I think it's a good start of trying to rebrand and reintroduce the MCU to people. A new MCU. Um, it is hard to would you go on after Beyonce just got finished performing?
Probably not.
That's what the MCU is tasked with doing right now. They are tasked with trying to come up with another act to take the stage after Beyonce just was on stage, after Prince just sang Purple Rain in the Rain at the Super Bowl, after Michael Jackson just moonwalked. That's what they're tasked with. And it seems uneven because they're trying to reintroduce all of these different characters that you do not know. Um, so I think part of the problem is everybody expected this train to keep going, and it's still going. I mean, you're still making money. However, I think the critical acclaim that came with telling this long form story is hitting some bumps in the road because there's so much content that has come out because A, the pandemic, and B, there's so many different platforms they're trying to monopolize. They're trying to monopolize. the movies. They're trying to monopolize television, streaming services. They're they're trying to get as much out there so that they can be uh, the end all be all of all entertainment. That's the best way to put it. So that's what I feel what Phase Four is.
So you, so could I say summarize like your thing with Phase Four is that they're trying to do too much, or that
No,
they're trying to hit so many things. It's hard to keep up with everything, or
I think it's you. So you have to think about it. Let's look at think about this, and again, people. This is when we talk about nuance. Even though these were not their most popular characters, if when it comes to comics, they weren't the most money making comics. Think about who was in that first phase: Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and the Avengers. We all know who the Avengers are now, right? We know who these characters were, but they weren't popular. Does that make sense? Like
hmm
they weren't the household names that they are now. It was a risk, but you kind of knew who they were. Does that make sense?
hmm
You had people knew who Captain America was. People knew who
hmm
the Incredible Hulk was. People knew who Iron Man was, even though he might not have been as popular as some other names. All right. Then you look at Phase Two. Iron Man 3, Thor: Dark World. So you had your two sequels, your third Iron Man movie, your first Guardians movie, your second Avengers movie, and then you were introduced to Ant Man, right? And so they kept building with recognizable names, stars, and then you got Phase Three, which arguably is one of the greatest runs of a movie studio ever. When you think about it, um, you had your first Spider-Man in the MCU, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, and Endgame, capped off with Spider-Man: Far From Home. Oh wait, and Captain America introduced the Black Panther, Civil War.
hmm
So Phase Four had, and Phase Four was never going to get what it was never going to get a fair shake. Does that make sense?
sure.
Because you're coming off of one of the greatest runs in film history. Like, how many billion-dollar movies is in that phase?
There's a lot.
Far From Home, Endgame, Captain Marvel, Infinity War, Black Panther. Did Homecoming make $1 billion?
I don't know numbers for any of these movies, so I'm not gonna
But
comment.
I
I
do
would
I
say
do know those five made $1 billion because we talked about that year 2018 might have been one of the best years ever for a studio because remember in 2018 Disney released movies that were just because was 2018 the year that they released Toy Story 4.
I don't know.
So you were
I'll look it up while you keep on your point.
what I'm saying is you were never going to get a phase four was never going to get a fair shake because of that. You came on the heels of one of the greatest runs ever. So
Looks like Toy Story 4 was 2019.
2019, okay. Because I think they talked about just in movies alone, Marvel made $6 billion. I mean, Disney made $6 billion just off like four, just off the MCU movies. Um, you were never going to get a fair shake for Phase Four because you were coming right behind Phase Three, and think about who you think about the franchises that were you were getting. You were getting a brand new Eternals that nobody knew anything about. You were getting, yeah, you were getting sequels to Doctor Strange and Thor, but none of your heavy hitters were in here, um, except Spider-Man. You weren't getting in another Captain America. Iron Man is dead. Um, you got a Guardian special, but it wasn't a movie. Um, Shang-Chi, unknown. Black Widow, who should have gotten her movie, I'll say a decade ago, finally was released, and we all know the drama that surrounded Black Widow in that release. Um, so yeah, you weren't going to get it. Was it all coming out of the gate? It was already going to be an uphill climb. So all in all, if I had to rank Phase Four, I would give a Phase Four a 4 out of 5. I would. I know that's probably not popular. I know a lot of people are down on Marvel. Pajon J says it's Marvel fatigue, and to a certain extent, it is because if you think about it, even though this was all one phase, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki and Black Widow were all supposed to come out in a different year. Remember, those were supposed to come out in 2020. But due to the pandemic, they all got pushed. So everything got pushed back. Everything shifted. So the schedule and how things came out, and honestly, how things were filmed, were changed due to the pandemic.
Hmm.
So um, I wonder if we didn't have the pandemic, would we be saying this? Because I think Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings would have been a Black Panther moment for the Asian community, the Asian American community, and the world at large. But we didn't get that because we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Sure.
So
Um, that's interesting. So, in I would agree it didn't get a fair shake, but for me, the issue with Phase Four isn't even that they're starting over again. I'm okay with that. If anything, I could see the argument that now that you have people on the hook, I think you have more people receptive to new characters. I think even with the new characters, sometimes the stories didn't really go anywhere and they kind of meandered into nothing. I
disagree.
mean, that's for me. I think a lot of that stuff is it was fun to introduce the character and like, okay, you're setting up all these threads, and when is it going to pay off? I think there are so many different threads. It's going to be interesting to see if they can tie it all together.
I I understand where you're coming from. I disagree in the sense of when you look at all the new characters that were introduced, it was a lot. And your legacy characters had to do did not do a lot of the heavy lifting. And what I mean by that is go if you look at the phases, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, then you cap it off with the Avengers, right? Um that's phase 1. You got an Avengers movie that kind of capped everything off each year in
Each
each of the
phase.
each well, I say each year and each phase. So at the end of phase 1, Avengers capped off phase 1 in May
But that's
4th.
not every year.
Hold on. And at the end of at the end of each year, at the end of the phase, there's an Avengers movie. Um, so phase 2, you have Avengers, and then you have Ant Man. Um, then at the end of phase 3, you have Endgame, and then you had Spider Man Far From Home, which kind of wraps it up. So you had some very heavy hitters in those phases that anchored introducing new characters. Whereas in phase 4, you don't have an Avengers movie. You are wrapping up your Spider-Man trilogy. Chadwick dies. Wakanda Forever. There's the controversy or the argument over whether or not you recast T'Challa, do the movie without him, um, which I believe that did keep some people from the box office, kept it from watching.
Probably.
Um, Thor: Love and Thunder was not as good. Doctor Strange Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness made more than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And that, to me, is the detriment of what happens when you don't have, in my opinion, your heavy hitters, and you're reintroducing a lot of new characters, and you don't have a lot of your legacy characters with movies that are like ushering the plot line along. You're basically you're just spending all this time introducing people to these characters. Whereas in all three of your other phases, you are building to something. And in this phase, it's just introductions.
Hmm.
And I think that's different. Because it's almost like, if this had been the first phase, you would not get you would not get the conversations that you get. Is Marvel done? You see what I'm saying? It's hard to look at this in a vacuum objectively, because you're comparing it to the other phases that came before it that were building up.
Hmm.
And in this one, you basically had to start over with the legacy of, Endgame was great, right? And so you don't. That's what you're up against. Um,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the big issue is I would agree that they're introducing these new characters, but I feel like, and somebody brought it up earlier. They said, let's see, Pejon J said, what did Pejon say? Pejon said, I think they might need to bring in some new creative minds in there. They hit the proverbial wall. And so I think that the big thing is they were the creative talents were kind of left, right? So what are they what's the end result for them?
I Here's the thing. I disagree, because if you look at it, let's go back and look at the face. Okay, let's look at Black Panther was directed by Ryan Coogler, who did the first one.
Hmm.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was done by Sam Raimi. Spider-Man: No Way Home was done by the same director. Um, let's see what else. Thor: Love and Thunder was done by Taika Waititi. I
But like
think,
all these movies you're naming didn't perform well as the ones before it.
it, and what I'm saying is, I agree with you. I don't think it's What I'm saying is, I think some of it is creative. Like, in some, because for me, some of the shows that didn't hit, or some of the movies didn't hit, I disagree. Like, for me, Black Widow didn't hit for me because I felt like that movie, kind of the same way we talked about Black Adam. If that movie had come out 5, 10 years ago, we have a different story. But the
Hmm.
fact of, you knew what you had, and that's the movie that you made for one of the founding members of Avengers and one of the first female characters, I thought it was a little lackluster. Um, I thought Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was okay. It wasn't like the greatest thing ever, but then when you look at everything, everywhere, all at once, and you compare Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, what's the better multiverse movie? Hands
Sure.
down. And so
Sure.
it's to me, it's not necessarily. I think there's part of it is the creative, but it's hard. It's a lot at one time. So in other
Sure.
words, from 2020, because again, this is 2021 to 2022. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's 17 projects in 2 years.
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to that. I mean, whether that many projects in that short amount of time, Marvel fatigue is definitely. I think that's a valid criticism for some people. It's a lot to take in
Yeah,
because even if everything was good, there's still a cost of like your mental well being of just being able to keep up with all that stuff. Even if it's fantastic, you're still like you're probably giving up something. So I could see some fatigue in that for sure.
I think there's some of it is fatigue. I think some of it is.
Oh, hold on one second, Leroy. I do want to address so the dude in the wife beater is my nephew. I just want people
Mhm,
seeing people walking around. Hey,
mhm.
there we go. Hey, what's up? What's up, man? Hey, I know you were saying hey before I was just talking on that. Yeah. But yeah, all right. So yeah, I mean, for me, um, yeah, I think there's a little bit of Marvel fatigue, and also the idea of Marvel, was it Jarence Bowman talked about some of the movies not releasing in some of the bigger
Yes.
countries too, like Russia
Hmm.
and China. So I mean,
Yes.
that's definitely cutting into your market share as well.
Yes. If you don't, so if some of these movies could have been released in China, you wouldn't have the criticism like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania being making the having two of the largest drops in Marvel's cinematic history.
Hmm.
Um, we know because you want to make that money that first week that you come out. Okay, cool. And then there's a drop off because your core audience comes that first week. Then you word of mouth keeps the movie going. You have a little bit of drop off that third week. Ant-Man Quantumania dropped again, and it was almost 70%. So they made a lot of money that first week, but they didn't sustain any of that. And you didn't get a lot of people repeat business because we both know Marvel fans and people who are fans of this franchise have gone back and watched movies several times in the theater.
Sure.
Um, so I think that's part of it. Not having that extra money coming from a China release, from a Russia release, has hurt some of it because you wouldn't have some of the criticism that you got if those movies had made more money. Um, but I also
You brought up
think,
a
go ahead.
well, go okay. You brought up an interesting point that with these phases, a lot of the legacy characters were doing the heavy lifting, and I
Hmm.
wanted to get your opinion on. So we know some people are contracted to do more stuff, some people aren't. So in your opinion, who are gonna be these new characters to do the heavy lifting?
And see, that's the question. That is the question. Who are these new characters that are going to be front and center? Because you don't have an Iron Man, you don't have a Captain America, who were some of the Robert Downey Jr. was the face of the MCU. You don't
Yep.
have that anymore. So when I say this, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody else, who is the face of the MCU?
I want to bring up this comment from Mo Better
Mhm.
Coup. I don't know if this is a new person, but welcome to the chat if you're new. Glad you're joining us here. Um, this new era would be more focused, magic and horror, allowing Strange and Scarlet to become main faces of the MCU, featuring Blade, Moon Knight, Werewolf. Um, who is this? Oh, Werewolf by Night is what they're saying, and a whole new Black
Mhm.
Panther. So yeah,
And yeah, they talked about introducing new genres into the MCU, introducing horror and the Werewolf by Night and Blade, um, Doctor Strange being the most horror centric movie, bringing in more magic users, WandaVision. You had a lot of that, and again, to me, this supports that argument of who is your face of the MCU. I
hmm
mean, I don't know if you remember, but when the MCU was during that 10-year run, they were on Jimmy Fallon doing the Marvel Bunch. You know what I'm saying? The Brady Bunch, and they were singing songs. Robert Downey Jr. was the middle square. You had Scarlett Johansson. Who is the most recognizable person who's in the MCU right now who has a movie or a show out?
I don't know.
And I'm
Maybe
not
Benedict
asking.
Cumberbatch.
I'm not asking to be facetious. I'm not a rhetorical question. I don't know. And
Yeah,
that's a problem for your franchise going forward.
sure.
If you don't have stars, and it almost lends credence to it brings back to that point, an interesting point that Quentin Tarantino said. Quentin Tarantino said it's the characters that are the stars of the MCU, not the actors.
hmm
You could use this as an argument to say it's the stars who made the characters popular. Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man a household name. Chris Evans made Captain America a household name. Chris Hemsworth made Thor a household name. Yes, they were characters that were brought on screen that were comic characters, but these actors embodied those characters and carried these franchises, building up to something where now Marvel is having to introduce you to characters you may not have known about. Shang-Chi, Black Knight. You know about Blade, but when was the last time Blade was relevant? I mean,
We talked about this before. You remember the TV show?
with Sticky Fingers?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not here
I
to say whether it was good or bad. I'm just saying, do
It
you
was
remember the
bad.
TV show?
It was
Okay,
bad.
there we go.
It was bad. I tried to watch it. I couldn't.
Okay.
It was
I
not
feel like
good.
it came on TNT maybe or TBS. I feel like
I
it was
thought
the
it was
original
Spike.
network. Was it
I
Spike?
thought it was
Okay.
Spike.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I don't remember. But yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When you look at this phase, so okay, let's go. Let's start from the beginning. So we have 17 things to get through. Quick overview. WandaVision. What did you think?
I liked it. Um, oh, thanks, James Smith. We got people in the chat. Yeah, for people who are either watching us through the Twitch or through the News 19 Nerds YouTube, we are migrating over to the We Trying channel. That's where we're trying to grow the audience. So just a heads up on that. Um, WandaVision, I liked it. I mean, I enjoyed Scarlet Witch. I think the whole idea of the mystery behind everything was great. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let's do more of this. I think it showed a problem that a lot of Phase Four stuff did, where the ending was kind of just eh. And we've talked about this in the past. It might have been
Mhm.
COVID related, pandemic related, but the ending kind of fell flat to me for that.
What would you give it?
Oh gosh, I'd say 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. All right. Um, I would say I like WandaVision. It really was a kind of an event every week. I think they did a good job handling the snap, introducing new characters, making you care. I thought the ending. I agree with the ending was a little flat, and I wonder how much COVID interrupted that. And again, that's the question. And remember, this was not supposed to be the first release in the MCU for Phase Four. Um, so I'd say I'd give it a 4 out of 5 as well. 4 out of 5. All right. So we both gave it a 4 out of 5. Let's do the next one. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That premise was great, and I'm excited that he's getting his own movie. That we're getting Captain America 4. I think that's going to be awesome.
Hmm.
I think that's a show that really tried to look at race relations a little bit harder than something else in MCU, which was different for a Disney property altogether, right? Disney
Hmm.
not really hitting on stuff like that, so I think that was interesting. I like the idea of Bucky trying to make amends for all the wrongs that he did and the
Hmm.
way he was working on that. Um, but in the end, I don't know that it stuck the landing, and I feel like that's going to be a thing I repeat throughout most of these things. I don't know that it stuck the landing, and
Okay.
maybe that's the theme of Phase Four, not sticking the landing. I would
Okay.
probably say 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
I just yeah, I probably would rank it lower than WandaVision for that reason.
Okay. Um, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I agree with you not sticking the landing, but again, and it I may sound like a broken record too. How much of the pandemic changed the ending? Because we know it was supposed to be a virus at the end that the flag smashers were going to release in New York. We know that they had to cut and redo the ending of the show. Um, I thought as a villain, the flag smashers were not as terrifying, and I don't know if that's the right word. One of the things that the MCU has been given,
Maybe not very memorable either, possibly.
I
Like
remember them.
I don't really think of them. I
I, I,
remember the lead person.
I remember them for the fact of their mission wasn't clear. And here's the thing that I think Marvel tried to do, and I think they some in some instances they failed, in some instances they succeeded. They tried to do a better job of explaining what happened during the snap and after. How did this snap affect the world overall? Excuse me. They tried that with WandaVision, which they did okay. They showed the foundation of Sword. They tried it in Captain Winter Falcon, where they had the flag smashers who were like, "Hey, the people who were here, we had to try to make do with the best way we could after 5 years of losing half of the population." And then you had people who just showed back up, and the whole world was in chaos. I think they did not do a good job of explaining what the mission of the flag smashers were. And Marvel has a problem, and they're criticized heavily for it. Of the superheroes reinforce the status quo, where when you think about some of the villains who are trying to do something, like a Flag Smashers, like a Killmonger, or a I'm trying to think of another one. It's like they go right up into the edge, and then they do something that's like, oh, we can't, you know. Whereas the people who are the heroes are reinforcing we need to keep things the way they are to keep the trains running. And I thought Winter Soldier did one of the best jobs to say, hey, it wasn't working the way it was in the past, but your way isn't working either. We need to come together. I thought that was a very good. I thought that speech at the end, he did a very good job. Um, uh, Clarence, and I think he did a very good job of embodying what it's like to be a black veteran in this country. So I give it a 4 out of 5. For me, I appreciated Winter Soldier the show more. You had the Wakandans in there. You had Baron Zemo. You got Sharon Carter back. Um, I liked it, but you could tell something was off because Sharon Carter's role seemed to be different.
I still
And
say she's a scroll. I'm sticking with that. I hope I'm
I
right.
mean,
I don't know.
she could be. I just it's it was very uneven. And again, I wonder how much of COVID did that to the show. So I give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay,
Um,
so you are not following your rule. Are we gonna spend 3 minutes on each of these? 20 seconds? What are we doing?
I'm trying to be quick because I think
You have not
because
been so far.
so Loki.
Okay, Loki.
What do you? Mhm.
Loki was fun. Tom Hiddleston, great character, great villain. Um, I think it was interesting for them to kind of almost reboot Loki with giving us the a first Avengers Loki, not the one that had grown and changed. I think
Mhm.
by the end of the show, they did a good job of setting him up. It gave us our first look at Jonathan Majors in the MCU. I thought he was
Mhm.
fantastic. I know a lot of people didn't like that version of He Who Remains, but I thought he was
Mhm.
interesting, and I got excited for Loki. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5.
4.5. Okay. Uh, I would give it a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Um, I thought it was excellent in the sense of it gave us a man out of the fish out of water, somebody who's always had. Tom Hiddleston did a very good job of like he's always 2 steps ahead. A lot of times, he's always has these different machinations going on where he's always able to get out of stuff. And I think this was the first time where he wasn't able to do that. I think the character of Sylvie, introducing that character and him having to care and actually explain why he is the way he is, I thought that was a very good character arc. I think this is one of the first MCU shows that stuck the landing where you felt the dread and realized shit was going down. I thought I thought Jonathan Majors, when you look at his 2 different interpretations of Kang and playing a different character, he did a very good job, especially when you look at Quantum Media versus how he was in this show. I thought he did a very good job. I thought they stuck the landing, the special effects. I thought in the way they did the way they did the show, I thought they did a very good job. Um, so for me, that to me, this is one of the best of the MCU shows.
And
Now,
in phase four, I guess it gave us our first start to the multiverse, right? So
yeah,
far. Well, no, I guess
well,
maybe one division, kind of,
no, I would go
or
back
at
and
least just
say,
Strange. I'm just talking about like just for phase four stuff because we only discussed 3 projects so far, so that's the first introduction to multiverse stuff, right?
uh, no, because we had the introduction of the multiverse in um, Spider-Man, Far From Home. Far From Home
Okay.
talked about the multiverse. Um, Now I don't know if it's the first. In my opinion, that's the first time I remember them talking about it. This is the first time we saw it.
Okay.
So, Black Widow.
Man, I want to like this one. I wish this had come earlier. It just seemed like such a waste,
Mhm.
and to really not go anywhere. I think was it Kate Shortland who's the director of that? I don't know, Kate somebody. I think the action was good. I thought the choreography. It gave us Florence Pugh,
Yes,
um,
who
who
was
I'm excited to
amazing.
see more of. Yeah, she was really great, and I think Scarlett Johansson did what she could with that role. But yeah, in the end, I might give it a 2 out of 5.
Okay.
Kind of forgettable. Chris 24M 2 out of 5. Yeah, I give 2 out of 5 to Black Widow. I wanted more out of it, but it was just kind of. Eh.
Um,
Taskmaster was major misstep. Yeah, I could see that.
I am. I'm not going to do what a lot of people did and were like, female characters, yada yada. That's not my issue with it. To me, I felt like Kim from Chicago. Yeah, Loki for me is a 5 out of 5. I it's short, it's to the point. Each episode just was explosive in the sense of giving you character development and what was going to happen next. So for me, 5 out of 5. Black Widow. I was not as psyched as I was for the movie, and they tried to make it like Winter Soldier, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Um, it didn't hit because it did not give me because I didn't care, and it's hard to do a prequel when so much has come before and make it match up to where the stakes matter. Um, Very few shows can do that. I think Clone Wars did a good job. Season 6 of the Clone Wars, building up to Revenge of the Sith. Um, I'm trying to think of what else. Andor has done a very good job, but very few of the prequels does a good job. And I think this movie was basically a backdoor introduction to Florence Pugh's Black Widow. I thought Scarlett Johansson was given was done a disservice in not just the way they released the movie, but just giving her a movie that I don't care. Like if you were going to do a Black Widow movie, show me how she got out. What was Budapest? What was this whole thing that her and Hawkeye had and this camaraderie? Like to me, that should have been the movie. I love um, Hopper. I enjoyed his, Red Guardian. Um, like I enjoyed the movie. I just didn't think it was that great. I just thought it was okay. You had a villain nobody cared about. Um, it was just okay to me. I give it a 2 out of 5. Um, so that's Black Widow. What if season 1? And you said you gave it a 2 out of 5, 2.5.
Yeah, are you writing these down or something?
Yep. Because I have a
Okay,
theory.
okay, interesting. What if? I thought the animation was cool, the rotoscope, and I would need somebody who's more well versed in different styles of animation to tell me what it is. But
Mhm.
I thought that was whatever that type of animation was cool. It gave me chills to hear Chadwick again in that last
Mhm.
role, and to get Chadwick in a role that was different. For he was happier in that role than he was in Black Panther. Black Panther he was a little more stoic and more regal. So I felt like he got to have more fun in this version of T'Challa in What If, and that was nice to
Yay!
see.
Found out his dad was a dick.
Yeah, yeah.
you would you'd be a little down too.
I would say 3 out of 5 because again that was one that kind of a lot of the episodes didn't come together well,
Mhm.
and I think at the end they tried to tie it all together, but I don't think they had enough time to set all that up. I kind
Okay.
of wish we got more of the characters from the different universes coming together. I know we had that one Gamora episode that maybe got pushed to season 2 now or something that we never got, and she kind of just showed up. So that would have been interesting to see more of that. So I gave it 3 out of 5.
Yeah. I give it a 4 out of 5. I really liked What If. I thought in each individual episode, I thought the Doctor Strange episode was powerful. I liked the What If with Black Panther. It wasn't my favorite. I like the. Um, I love the. If you can see it up there, um, uh, Captain Britain. Uh, Haley Atwell coming back, and what if she became Captain whatever instead of Steve Rogers. Um, I thought the Marvel Zombies episode was hilarious. I thought that was cool. Um, I thought the Ultron one was a little, but I did like the. Again, I thought the Scarlet Witch Hawkeye episode to me was what I wanted from the Black Widow movie. That banter, that relationship that they had, I thought that was really good, and to see them together, especially after Endgame, really was really good. It brought it home. I did think the overall arching, Ultron breaking the barrier, and then Killmonger betraying them, and then have them both fighting. I thought that was a little weird. This whole Guardians of the Multiverse, I think, is an interesting idea, um, but I'm not sure. I Ken from Chicago says Captain Britain did it first the Avenger in half an hour by cutting out the slow parts. Possibly. I like the fact that you got to see her Haley Atwell become, and to me that was the perfect first episode pilot. Because I liked it so much. That was the first MCU figure I bought. Um, so I really enjoyed that first episode. Um, I give it a 4 out of 5. I'm interested to see what comes next, uh, how they take criticism and move forward with another version of the show. But I really liked it. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. I really liked What If, um, because like you said, it was really fun to see the characters that you know and grown to love in different situations. It was really fun. The Marvel Zombies episode was just amazing. The laughs hit. Uh, I do agree with you a little bit that what's his name does not do voiceover acting very well. The guy who plays Winter Soldier,
Sebastian Stan. Yeah.
Sebastian Stan, yeah, aka Mark Hamill. But I really liked it. Um, so from What If we get Shang-Chi?
Uh, 4.5 out of me. Maybe five. I have to go back and think, but 4.5. I agree with you. I think had it come out in a different time, it could have been the Black Panther for the Asian and Asian American community. I think it was good. I think it had a it tried to tackle stereotypes, and it talked about that Tony Leung
Mhm.
and the Mandarin, the way they first did the Mandarin, they kind of like, yeah, they compared the Mandarin to like a chicken dish. They don't know who the Mandarin really is. They don't know
Yeah,
what this character meant and what he went through in the MCU canon. Um, Choreography was fantastic. I'm a sucker for choreography. Anybody that has watched this channel for a while knows I love good choreography in a martial arts movie or any type of movie, and the choreography was well done. And one thing that I really liked about it is that every main character who had some sort of martial art discipline, like you could tell their story in the way they fought, whether they were more aggressive or more defensive or more elegant or more graceful with how they fought and how
mhm.
they changed. You saw that with Simu Liu in terms of how he fought and how he changed and evolved over his fighting style over time. So yeah, 4.5, maybe five out of me.
For me, it's a 5 out of 5. Um, I would say for me, it's a 5 out of 5. Tony Loom was the best part of that movie. Don't get me wrong, Michelle Yao being in the movie was great too. I thought the love story between him and his wife, the woman who ends up being Simu Lee's mom, I thought that the dance that they had, he carried the movie. Don't get me wrong, I like Simu as the main character. However, the only knock I would give the movie is he was a little boring. He was a little flat compared to everybody else in the movie. Does that make sense? He was as the hero, and I'm not saying he should have had more flair, more. He kind of was there. Whereas Tony Long as the main villain to me had more pathos, more emotion. The fact that why he did the things that he did, you understood, and you almost were like, again, it goes back to that whole idea of being the villain. I felt he was a villain, but the things he was doing, and you almost kind of like is he really a villain because he's trying to get his wife back? He's going to be controlled by monsters on the other side. And then that one part where you saw him go when those people tried to kill him and they didn't get him, but they got his mom, and he went back into that room, and you're like, oh, you are a bad guy. So for me, 5 out of 5. I thought the action at the end was very well done. I thought the whole riding the dragon thing. My only knock is Aquafina and Simu Liu. I thought Aquafina was turned down. She wasn't the character that she always plays. I thought Simu did an okay job. I thought he was okay. But I just thought like his sister. I thought the woman who played his sister. I thought she did a really good job. I thought Michelle Yao's introduction in there. I the guy who played the original Mandarin um, in Iron Man 3. I thought that was cool bringing him back. Uh, the butt dog or whatever that thing was. I really like this movie. Um, so I give this one a 5 out of 5. And again, I bring it back to if that movie, if we hadn't have been in the pandemic and that movie had been given the release that a Black Panther had been given, that some of the Captain America movies have been given, we would not be talking about Phase 4 the way we talk about it. Um, so, and the reason why we're trying to go through this quickly, but if you notice, so far that we've been talking about these projects so far, the only ones we've given below a 4 is Black Widow and What If. Out of 6 things, 7 things, everything has been above average. Um, so let's keep going. Eternals.
This one hits hard. I have my head pick and my heart pick in
Oh,
terms of rating because
mhm.
I I could I don't know I may be drinking the Marvel sauce, but I really do like what Eternals tried to do. Chloe Zhao, I really thought that was an interesting take. I thought it was shot beautifully. I'm not one that notices that kind of stuff. You do as a director.
Mhm.
Chris 24 coming hard. He says 1 out of 5. Mine will be a little bit higher than that, but I think the way it was shot was cool. But it was definitely a story of kind of wasted potential, and that is definitely one that has. I hope those characters get to come back and try and do more things because I liked everybody in it and what they were doing. Um, like spoiler alert, I thought the ending was kind of weird. How I can't even remember who some of the people were. Icarus, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, him
Rob
going
Stark.
into this, yeah, him going into the sun. I understand for the movie, but I don't think it was set up well, and I don't. I wish there was another way he had did, decided to end his life. Um, I don't know, but
I don't think
Selma
he's really
Hayek was
dead.
amazing, huh? Okay,
I don't
fair
think
enough.
he's really dead.
I think Selma Hayek was great. Angelina Jolie was great. It was great to see those older women being in action roles. Um, I really like Kumail Nanjiani, and I was hoping for people who have followed the chat for or follow our channel for a while know I really love Indian cinema, Bollywood, Tollywood, all that stuff. So anytime
Hmm.
you promise me I'm going to get some type of Indian Bollywood dance number, I'm
Hmm.
expecting big things. It was okay, and for somebody who doesn't really follow Bollywood movies but has Netflix, if you want to see what a Bollywood dance number can look like, I encourage you to watch RRR, um, the song that's nominated for an Oscar, Natu Natu. Watch that whole dance sequence. That's what you want out of a Bollywood dance movie or a Bollywood dance number. I was hoping I was going to get that in the MCU. Didn't really. They shot something probably like cut around it for 20 seconds. But that's
Hmm.
a personal thing. I say all that to say that one might be a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay. Um, for me, uh, Eternals was a 3 out of 5. A solid um, 3 out of 5 for me. The way it was shot, the way they introduced and tried to give reverence to these characters, to Jack Kirby's creations, I thought was a very good job. I thought everybody did a good job in the movie. The problem and the heavy lifting of it was Ajax. Spoiler alert: Ajax is killed by Icarus. Icarus is masquerading as a friend when he really is an enemy. Um, the end of the movie, I thought, with the whole trying to, it was, to me, it was another light show. Uh, I thought I thought the people who played these characters, Makari, um, being the first deaf person, I thought she was amazing. Keegan was amazing. I thought he was very good. Um, I hear he's excellent in the Banshees of Inisherin,
He
and
is. I saw that. I liked it. He was good.
remember he's also unnamed in the Batman in a cell next to the Riddler, but we all knew who he's supposed to be. So I think, to me, I really, the introduction of Barry Keegan was really well done. Um, I thought Gemma Chan as Cersei carried the movie. I thought she did a very good job. I just think the movie itself had a uphill battle because if you had characters this powerful who had been here this entire time, you don't fight Thanos. And I know they tried to explain it. Like, I understand the snap and all that, and I know they tried to do a high concept, high art film in the MCU, and they tried. It just didn't work. But I like the attempt. I love a swing and a miss. I'll give you a swing and a miss all day. And I appreciated the movie. I still just think it's a 3 out of 5. I thought Sprite, the young woman who played Sprite, I thought that was they handled that very well done, very well. Um, a kid who cannot grow up and you're stuck in that body, I thought magnificent. I think the whole because it's funny, you have Rob Stark in this movie, and you have Jon Snow. I thought Jon Snow didn't even need to be in this movie. When you really think about the movie, his character, you could have cut it out, and it's the same movie. Does that make sense? And I thought that's a waste of an actor. If you can remove someone from a movie and remove their whole plot line, I because the love affair between her and Icarus was more, and so it was hard. He was overshadowed by that. So I give this a 3 out of 5. Um, the next one is Hawkeye, and I just rewatched Hawkeye again.
I might give that a 4 out of 5. It
Really?
gave us
Okay.
new, yeah. Um, Only because I just thought it was fun. It was in a world that has given us kind of more serious material in terms of Black Widow was a little more serious and getting back into her background. Eternals was a little, more serious.
Mhm.
Loki, it was fun, but it was kind of dealing with. I just thought Hawkeye was just fun and light. Um, what's who's the girl's name? I can't even think of her name now.
Florence Pugh or
No, 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 the other one,
Haley Steinfeld?
Haley Steinfeld. I can't wait to see Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh and more stuff.
Oh yeah,
That banter was awesome. The
yep,
idea of Haley Steinfeld just being in awe and like, "Are you a killer?" And Florence like, "I am, but it's cool. We can still be friends."
yep.
Um, that whole give me multiple movies of them doing like a buddy cop dynamic. I would love that. And it gave us a different look at Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, which was fun. He was a little bit lighter in this. Um, I don't think after getting the Kingpin that we got from Daredevil, this Kingpin fell a little flat. It was nice to
Oh
see
yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio back, but it definitely felt like, oh, this is a different take. I don't know. And it's no offense to, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio does what he's paid to do, right? They wanted him to be a different type on it, so that's fine. Um, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 just because it was fun, and I just want to see more of Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld.
Okay. I give it a this one to me. This one is tough because um I love the book that this is based on. Um, but um, but there was a lot of things in it that just left me flat, like they didn't do a good job explaining. For me, this is a 3 out of 5. because I didn't buy as much as I love the interactions between a lot of the characters. I think some of the stuff should have been cut out in the episode. The show ran a little too long for me. I love the interaction between the Hawkeyes. Haley Steinfeld is a breath of fresh air in the MCU, like you said. Florence Pugh was amazing. The crux of this is I did not buy Florence Pugh letting Hawkeye off the hook if you were going to kill this man. Um, I'm not saying you should have killed Hawkeye. I'm I just the whole idea of her stopping at the end of it, I just didn't buy that. Echo was amazing. I thought the tracksuit guys were hilarious. Hey bro. Um, I really like this show, but the motivations behind a lot of the characters, as far as like trying to, this is one of those shows where to me you didn't have to try to tie everything into the MCU. Like you could have just made this a self-contained. Hey, this is just an adventure. Like the whole watch thing, like that didn't make any sense. Like if the watch falls into the wrong hands, like you didn't explain like this MacGuffin that you've been doing this whole time. Um, I just as much as I liked it, to me it's a 3 out of 5 because to me you had so many different parts that you could have done stuff with, and you dropped the ball. The whole LARPing thing I thought was at the end like this whole like these first responders are gonna like stop trying to be first responders and put on LARP gear. I thought that was just like that just literally took me out. Like I could not believe that. Um, and it was little moments like that that took me out, or like when you introduced the swordsman. Um, I understand that she was in Shield, but that isn't. What I'm saying is that was a waste. Like this whole idea of trying to get this watch. And my thing is this: so in the comics, Hawkeye is married to Mockingbird. Um, I know we've used Mockingbird in the Agents of Shield. What was the whole point of getting that watch to begin with in the show? Um, and is Linda Carnolina Mockingbird? Like it just, I thought it just didn't. It was like this is what I think of Hawkeye. Do you ever put some food that you had leftovers in the microwave and you hear it going off and it's popping and like the sides are hot, but that middle is still cold and you're like, do I really want to get up and put this back in the microwave so it can be finished done, but the outside is perfect? That's Hawkeye to me. So I loved it, but it just it's a 3 out of 5. Um, Spider-Man No Way Home. Y'all gonna not like what I got to say, but go ahead.
Spider-Man No Way Home. That's the last one, right? I can't remember with all the homes. That
Yep.
was the most recent
Uh-huh.
one.
Yep.
Um, it was a lot of fan service. It was cool. Had some great moments. Um, I think it kind of set up. It seems like this whole trilogy was setting up Spider-Man as we know it, kind of in like modern times or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 3.5 out of 5.
No,
Tom
that's
Holland was great. I liked everybody. It was great to get those original characters from the other Spider-Man universes in this. I thought that
mhm.
was very cool. Um, and I'm excited to see what Spider-Man 4 is going to be for Tom Holland. So
Okay.
3.5 out of 5.
I'm the same way. We don't have to spend that much time on it. I'm the same way. Spider-Man No Way Home, 3 out of 5. To me, it was nothing but fan service. I thought the big problem that I have with the Spider-Man trilogy is none of his he in this movie he didn't have his own villains. Does that make sense? All of his villains came from other dimensions, um, and I felt like the as much as I loved Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, in this I've never really been a real big fan of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. So I thought, to me, Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire. As far as being a Peter Parker, being believable as a high school kid, I never bought Tobey Maguire as a high school kid. So I never bought him as Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man 2 was good. I just I was I really felt when the the arc of Andrew Garfield. I thought that was the best part of it, but it was a lot of fan service. And once again, you had to kill a female character to motivate a male character. It's just a trope I'm kind of tired of seeing. And it it just wasn't. It didn't feel like Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. It felt like Spider-Man and Friends to a certain extent. So for me, it's a 3 out of 5. Um, Moon Knight.
I've gone back and forth. I enjoyed it at the time just because it was something new, but now that I've had time to sit back on it, um, maybe a 2.5 out of 5. Um, it's like I think it was another thing that we talked about at the beginning of the Space Force stuff where the ending just didn't land.
Hmm.
Um, and again, everybody that's involved in it is great. Um, it was weird at first for Oscar Isaac to have that accent. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this? But I think they did a pretty good job of explaining why he did that. I thought that was cool. Like, okay, I can buy into this. If that's what you're going to go with, and that's how you set this up, okay, that's cool. You're dealing with these different personalities, okay. Um, and I would love to talk to somebody who's like a clinical psychologist or behavioral therapist to talk about people who deal with multiple personalities and associative identity disorders, and just to see if it was accurately reflected. Like it was entertaining to me, but I'm wondering if it brought any awareness to people about that, people who deal with those type of mental issues.
Hmm.
So I mean, I give it props for that, but 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Um, that was another one where like the end battle was just a giant monster fight. I'm like, I don't need this, whatever.
Um, I give it a 2 out of 5. I enjoyed and I know some people are going to be like, "What? Moon Knight was amazing," and more power to you. It to me, mm, it's a 2 out of 5 for me because it was it was okay. It, the buildup was never paid off to me. Um, every week it was like we're at a cliffhanger, and then you come back and you're like, "Oh, that's it." And it was the fight scenes were amazing. Um, I thought Ethan Hawke was an amazing villain, but I felt that uh, Khonshu was the best part. Like Khonshu to me, um, Khonshu was the best part. The Hippo Goddess was awesome. Um, I thought that part was great. I just to me it took too long to get to where they were going. I thought the wife thing was took too like it took too long to get where it needed to be, and I felt like it was longer than it needed to be. So um, I enjoy as much as I enjoyed it. It's not one of those like I'm not going to go back and watch it. Like I've gone back and watched Hawkeye. I like Hawkeye. I went back and watched it Christmas time. Um, I think it's a good. I think it's a good show. I just think the things that they tried to do didn't do a good job. But I can appreciate it. I don't. Hawkeye is a better show than Moon Knight. Um, and I think this is the weakest out of all the Marvel shows. So to me, this is a 2 out of 5. Um, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I almost need more time away from that to decompress, like I want with Moon Knight. I think going in, I was very excited about what it was going to be. Um, and say what you will, I still don't think Wanda's heel turn, if I'm going to start using wrestling phrases, Wanda's heel turn, maybe they tried to set up. I don't think it was set up strong enough. Now, definitely, she is as a character can be a villain in the MCU. I
Hmm.
mean, she can be a villain. She's powerful enough to be one. I just don't feel like I get it that she missed her kids.
Hmm.
I mean, from the show, I felt like she also missed Vision. She didn't talk about Vision at all in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? You cared about Vision before, now you don't care about Vision? I don't know. Maybe because she had some sort of closure with him more than she did with the others. I don't know, but um, yeah, Multiverse of Madness undid WandaVision progress. I would agree with that. It does kind of seem like she kind of stepped back a little bit. Um, America Chavez, I don't really know her that well in the comics. Um, I like the actress, but I don't feel like she had enough time to do anything. So I want to see what her next project is going to be. I'd give it 3 out of 5.
Um, so I've gone back and watched Doctor Strange. I've seen it 3 times now. Um, I I like it, but it's not a. I did so when we talked about this going leading up to it and afterwards. I've said this before. I'm not a big Sam Raimi fan. I know he's one of the greats. I appreciate people like him. He's just not one of the ones that does it for me. With that being said, I thought this was Marvel's best attempt at a horror movie, and to me, they did a good job. I don't think they did, again, like with Black Widow, I don't think they gave their female characters. I think they did a disservice. Um, Wanda be like this whole idea of women not being able to handle their emotions. I thought Wanda. I think they could have done a better job with Wanda's character. Um, and again, and I hate to say this, but when you go back and look at again everything, everywhere, all at once, bam! I need you to just sit down, man. Um, when you look at that film, and again, less money, less budget, less promotions, less marketing, but what is the better film? Like the heart, and again, and here's the thing: it's still a mom trying to get reach her child, a mother. It's. But when you look at the two of them, one is a far superior movie, and to me, this is a 2 out of 5. Um, I thought I thought the whole idea of Doctor Strange, Are You Happy, was an interesting way to look at it, but the movie was all over the place. As much as I enjoyed and I like the special effects in it, I just think it's this when people complain about the MCU not having any heart, not having the the budgets being too big and the movies not being that great. To me, I point to this and I say, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Um, so for me, it's this one. So what did you say? What did you give it?
Maybe I said 3. I think.
Did you? I got 2.5 out of 5. Do you want to up that to 3?
Did I say no? I'll stick with 2.5. That's what I wrote. Then that's what I wrote.
No, I'm
It doesn't matter. Like I don't
okay.
feel one way that strongly about it,
Okay.
and maybe that should keep it at 2.5 because I don't feel that
Okay.
strongly about the movie.
All right. Miss Marvel.
Man, 5 out of 5.
It
I think that's my first 5 out of 5 on here. I am
is.
all about getting more representation and stuff. If you heard me earlier, you heard me talk about the idea of Bollywood, Tollywood cinema stuff. So the idea of getting a
Mhm.
show of a Muslim teenager um, practicing her faith and a family so long, and I'm not going to get on a soapbox, right? But I mean, so long we've seen, Muslims being feared as
The
others
bad
and
guys.
and terrorists and all that
True
stuff.
Lies.
Yeah, man,
24.
I love True Lies, but yeah, definitely for sure. But the idea of getting to go into this mosque and hearing her speak with her imam and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and seeing that, just because you don't understand the religion, there's ways you can learn more about stuff, and getting her the what's Imani Valan, what is her name? I don't know.
Hmm.
But she's great. I like her. I'm really excited just to see now that I'm naming all these people. Her Iman Vellani, Florence Pugh, Haley Seinfeld, all these young women. I'm hoping they're going to get time to shine this MCU because they're carrying this stuff. Um, I liked her family. I My only thing I wish they had done more of is in that first episode. It was very stylized.
Hmm.
I felt like they dropped that. Maybe it was a budget thing that kind of brought it back in the last episode. I wish it had been throughout the entire series. It was good. The villain was kind of whatever,
Yeah.
but her performance was so captivating for me that I really liked it.
Yeah.
Who was the villain?
Um,
What was their plan? Yeah.
um, I thought for me this was a 5 out of 5, leaning more to a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, but it was a 5 because the music was on point, the culture, the fact that they like most of your Marvel superheroes comics and your Avengers movies, they're in New York, they're in these major cities. This is in Jersey. Like I felt like the whole teenager coming of age thing, the whole government overreach, damage control being the bad guys, um, being dicks really. I thought they did a very good job. The whole mom versus daughter thing, I think, can either be very bad or it can be very good. Freaky Friday, I thought this was really well done. You hurt when she remember when she wanted to go to the thing, and then what was her dad dressed up like the Hulk or something, and was like, you can only go if I go with you." That whole overprotective parent thing, and you saw he was crushed, and like the whole like these family secrets. I thought that was very well done because I thought everybody can identify with the fact of you and your grandmother get along and you and your mom don't get along. That whole family dynamic, I thought those were well done. I agree with everybody who's like, what in the hell were they about? What was that was a little off, and I think that, but overall, I think the show did a really good job of introducing um, Miss Marvel as someone who looked up to Captain Marvel, who idolized Captain Marvel, and the you brought this up, the show and the Marvel's game, the single player campaign were very like they're very similar, and they did a very good job of introducing. But I think this is one of those shows that did a better job of handling your introduction that a lot of like a lot of these other shows and movies haven't done. Um, so to me, this is a 5 out of 5. Um, Thor: Love and Thunder.
1.5 out of 5. That's me being generous. I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry,
Um,
Taika. You needed an editor. You now. I guess I got more to say now. I really liked Ragnarok. That was fun,
yep.
but I think everybody's like, "Oh, he can do it again." It's like maybe he can, but maybe rein him in a little bit. The
Hmm.
jokes were all over the place. The tones were inconsistent. It
The
was cool to
voice of
get.
the movie was all over the place.
Yeah, it was. It was cool to see 0 out of 5. I mean, yeah, I could see that too for some people. It was great to get Natalie Portman back and her
It
character and do
wasn't
some stuff. Interesting. Okay. I enjoyed seeing Natalie Portman again on
Screaming
screen.
Goats. The scream. I love the Screaming Goats, so
Yeah,
they get
it
a
was
five out of
interesting to
five.
get her back on screen. Her teaming up with Tessa Thompson was great. I wish she had more to do, but it was cool to see her back. But yeah, 1.5 out of 5.
So I've gone back and I've watched. I know when we did the review, I really loved Thor: Love and Thunder. I gave it a better score than you did. Looking back at it now, going over it, um, this is a heart and a head type thing. My heart, 5 out of 5. I love this movie. Critically, 2 out of 5. Like heart wise, I love this movie. I For everything you said, I love seeing Natalie Portman back. I love seeing Tessa Thompson. Christian Bale was amazing. The ending was amazing. Like the ending for me was great. Um, to have this fight at the end and then him just walking off and like, hey man, you won. Like you
To
won.
be
What?
fair, you don't normally end a fight where the villain doesn't get killed like that. So I mean that
Hmm.
was different. So I'll
And
give it
so
that. But
like for me, my heart says 5 out of 5 because I really loved everything about this movie. But critically, um, what movie was uh, Maximus in? What the hell was he like? Zeus? It just didn't hit for me. Um, Natalie Portman getting to be Thor, I thought the way she got to be Thor, I loved her being Thor, but the way she got to be Thor, it was just like, oh, the rocks came together because you got cancer and you have space magic. Like, it just the writing wasn't there that you had seen in Thor Ragnarok. I thought the kid scene at the end though, that was hilarious. Like, I love that scene. Um, I just thought as a whole, as a movie, it doesn't hold up. you have to suspend a lot of belief to get to a lot of parts. I thought Korg, like, was Korg narrating the movie as Korg? Like, it was really all over the place. And again, I love this movie, and I say this, I love this movie. I really enjoy it, but I think critically, it's a 2 out of 5. Um, so that's just me. Did you watch the I Am Groot shorts?
I did. I can't remember them to give them a grade. I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw them
Uh,
and I forgot. I thought it was fun. I mean, if I had to give it a grade, I'll say 3 out of 5, just or 2.5 out of 5 to be average.
for me, they're 5 out of 5. I
Okay.
watch them. I thought each of them were. You said 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5?
Split the difference. 2.5 out of 5.
2.5. All right. Um, for me, they were great, showing the different sides of Groot. Um, I really enjoyed it. I watched them, and for me, I like them also because my kid likes them. So like, that's the one thing that I think that they did really well with these animation and these shorts, that I think they should probably try to do more of with some of this stuff. Take a character who's maybe more of a kid character and just do cool and zany stuff with. I think that reaches a different audience. Um, my kid knows who Baby Groot is. The way he interacts with the unit, the world around him, I thought was a very good job. I enjoyed I Am Groot. So for me, 5 out of 5. Here's one: She Hulk Attorney at Law.
4.5. No, I'll go 4 out of 5 for me.
Four out of
I
five.
think,
Okay.
yeah,
Why?
I really like. I have the biggest crush on Tatiana Maslany for one. I've
Mhm.
loved her ever since Orphan Black. I was like, oh yeah, she's awesome. She can do anything, and I think she killed it in this role. I enjoyed it. I thought it poked fun at the MCU a lot, which was great, and I liked the idea of a comedy show in the MCU. I laughed more than I didn't laugh at most of everything in the show, which I think
Mhm.
that's
Captain
the point of it.
America. Fuck!
Yeah, that was great. And that I was like, I almost feel like we kind of got spoiled because that was a really good post stinger. I was hoping we were going to get more harder, zingier, edgier ones like that. We didn't get
Mhm.
it. Um,
Oh wow, David
but
Cooper, 6 out of 5.
yeah,
Chemist.
um, seeing Matt Murdock do a walk of shame, hilarious.
Hmm. Um,
And it's interesting because I was a little scared when Daredevil was going to be in this because, like, oh, is he going to be changed drastically the way Kingpin was for Hawkeye? And he
yeah,
was changed, but I felt like they still made
the
they
character made
they
sense.
they they still made it work even though
Yeah.
they changed him. So yeah, maybe you know what? I'm gonna say 4.5.
Um,
4.5 for me. It was good. I think the reason that what holds it back is while I do like the ending was kind of like I still don't think like there was enough comeuppance for these people who were doing revenge porn. I was like I
yeah.
wanted them to go harder, but maybe that wasn't the point of the show. Maybe they just wanted to. I don't know. That's for somebody else to decide. But 4.5.
For me, it's a 5 out of 5. We talked about this when it came out. I, as a comic fan, um, I waffle between a four. You know what? I'll split the difference. I waffle between a 4 out of 5 and a 5 out of 5. So I'll do 4.5 out of 5. Um, as a comic fan, the whole breaking the fourth wall she does in the comics, and I think doing it in the show was a very good job. I would have liked to seen it a little more throughout the show. I thought some of the episodes were like the first one. I wasn't. You go back and watch our show, our review on it. It's up on the channel. I wasn't feeling the first episode, like I was trying to feel it out. But as the show went on, I got where they were going with it, and they did it. To me, they did a really good job of predicting not only with the show, but predicting the backlash for the show. How people would criticize the show, how some people would come on as fans and who would believe that they were fans, and then because they literally predicted some of the things people would say, and I was like, that's pretty ingenious. Like some people were like, everybody that's so woke, and they're making the Hulk green. And it's like, have you not known that the She-Hulk was a thing? Like different things like that I thought they did a really good job with. The motion capture I thought was really good. Um, I thought some of the characters. My biggest problem was the Wrecking Crew. I wasn't feeling them as a villain, and the way they did the Wrecking Crew I wasn't feeling. I thought the Abomination was cool. I thought Wong's introduction into the show was very well done. Um, the Who was the girl? She kept calling them Wongers. Uh, I love that banter back and forth.
I don't remember her name, but she probably had one of the best lines. Was like, "It's blah and blah, but it's not where you think it is." In terms of spelling her name,
Yeah,
that was great. That
and
actress, she killed it in
it
that
was
little
just a
role.
real. It was really fun, and I think that was fun. Um, I, I I understand what you were trying to say. How they changed Daredevil. To me, I don't think they changed him. Yes, Madison. Yeah. I don't think they changed Daredevil. I think he was a. You can't do the Netflix Daredevil in the MCU. Just like you're not going to get away with doing the Netflix Punisher in the MCU. Um, but I think that the way that they portrayed the Daredevil and Matt Murdock, and I think that was really well done. Um, and I'll be honest with you, Kyler Jones. That's a very good point. Let's see if I can put this comment up. Michael, can you? Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I got it. Uh, I really don't know what the rate shield. Not saying I didn't like it, just different from what we've gotten. And I think that's a very nuanced comment. And I think I wish a lot of people more were that self-aware. I really don't know if it. I say this, and we've said this before. A lot of people can't make that determination of is something for you, and whether or not it's for you, is it good? This was all the things that she was talking about being a woman does not hit for me. I have no idea what it's like to walk to my car and not worry about like is somebody going to run up on me, or the interactions that women have with men that is inappropriate. I don't have those things, but I could appreciate it, and I think they did a good job with the show. Um, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Um, Me and Katie watched. She watched the first couple episodes. She really liked it. So to me, it's a 4.5 out of 5. We're almost done, and then we can wrap this up. Werewolf by Night.
Sorry, I was doing my manager stuff for a second.
Mhm.
That one, I'll keep it short and sweet. That is another 5 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
Is that Michael Giacchino, the guy who's normally a music person? He directed that one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that is the
He's
man.
the one.
And
He's the one who did the soundtrack for the Batman.
okay, that is the man who understood the assignment. That's all I got to say. I think, and y'all know I don't do horror that well. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't really know the tropes, but I could recognize them in that. I think that was great. 6 out of 5. Yeah, came from Chicago exactly. Um, Bloodstone woman, great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Elsa Bloodstone.
yeah,
Hmm.
that to me, he understood the assignment. It was very good. That's all I got to say.
Same for me. It was short. It wasn't. It did a very good job of balancing it. One, it was in black and white, and that's very hard to pull off. It was black and white, short to the point. You knew who the players were. You knew what was going on. The introduction of Man Thing was really good. Um, I love the fact that he called him Ted. He called him by his name. He talked to him. Um, excuse me. I thought the show was really well. The as a special, thought it was really well done in the sense of it balanced dread horror for an audience that maybe not ready for that, because you got to remember, just like with Star Wars or any other franchise that has 8 to 80, and I think they walk that thin line very well. So for me, 5 out of 5. Um, Here's a controversial one for some people: Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Ooh, I'm glad we had a Black History Month. I'm
You
gonna say this
can
is
say 3 out of
interesting.
5. You could say a 3 out of
I
5, aren't you?
I might say lower.
Really?
Yeah. Man, I'm not afraid to say what I want to say. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it into words. So people, I feel like I said this a lot, but people who have seen our channel for a while on the other channel, when we
Mhm.
reviewed the first Black Panther, the thing that I've always said is I think Black Panther, the first one, is a good movie. I think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a good superhero movie. I've maintained that from the beginning. So I will say that again. Having said that, I do think I like the first Black Panther as a better superhero movie than Wakanda Forever. Um, this is kind of a microcosm of what we were saying before with phase 4 has such an uphill battle to climb coming from Endgame. Wakanda Forever had the same thing. Black Panther, the first one, was a cultural milestone. Black people went out and showed out and paid for that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and Wakanda Forever had so much it had to deal with. It had to deal with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. It had to set up, it seems like 15 other projects for Marvel. I just felt like there were too many things in that movie that it couldn't focus on one thing. I think it was cool. I liked Riri. I liked the introduction of Riri. Um, but there was so much going on. I might say 2.5 out of
For
5.
me, and see, this is where we differ. I give it a 5 out of 5. Um, for the things that you had problems and issues with, is the things that I give it credit for, because it's the first. And we talked about this in our review. One of the things that the MCU is going to have to manage is that something that the Marvel Comics kind of has to do, and that I think they did well in this, is that they're, as a nation, when your leader dies, the world still keeps turning. And I think they did a good job of
Oh,
explaining. Go ahead.
you know what? Now that you said that, what I said 2.5.
Yeah,
I'll bump it up a whole 0.53 for Angela Bassett. She killed it. 3 out of 5. Yeah,
3 out of 5.
Angela Bassett
Okay.
did some. Yeah.
Um, I to me it's a 5 out of 5 for those things that you mentioned, because I feel like when Angela Bassett came to the United Nations and was like, and she gave that speech, I think, to me, this is one of those times where Marvel does a good job of trying to explain to people Captain America is an agent of America. He's a representation of America. Black Panther is a world leader, not just a superhero. He is an icon, but he's a world leader. He's in charge of his country. And to lose your leader, not just one, but two in 10 years, you lost the father and the son. And then, on top of that, you found out there was a bastard royalty member who staged a coup. Um, you had all of that to deal with. And then you had another national power that introduced itself, that has been there the entire time. And as the world is coming for you in your natural resources, you have to manage, who are you? And I think they did a very good job. Um, for me, Angela Bassett was phenomenal. Um, when Angela Bassett said, "Have I not given everything?" When she came at Okoye and was like, "You can visit your husband. My son is dead. My husband is dead. Where is my daughter?" Like, you were like, I don't know. I'll go find Shuri. You wanted to get up out of the theater and be like, "I'll go find her. I'm sorry." So for me, and another thing that they did very well was, in a lot of these movies and a lot of these things, you a lot of times get the hero is not just a male, a white male, but normally a male. It's normally a guy. And here's a movie that the men were not the saviors. They weren't emasculated, because you're not going to tell me M'Baku was a punk, but they weren't the central figures. And these women held their own. Um, I think Shuri did a very good job of trying to deal with loss. And my biggest problem was trying to see her not as a spoiled brat, considering all the news that we got of her. and the secondhand and the rumors of not seeing her as a malcontent, but seeing her as someone dealing with loss and grief herself, because she had no connection to her. Everything was science and everything was logical. She did not know how to grieve. I think, and again, sorry, went too long. I think that this movie did a very good job of explaining why they did not recast Chadwick Boseman, and I think the fact that Marvel made a conscious effort to say we are going to grieve with you in making this movie and showing you we understand how big of a loss this was, and the movie was centered around that. So for me, 5 out of 5, because you normally a big company like that would have been like, go get another black guy. Ike Perlmutter said it in Iron Man 2. They won't notice. So for think about that for a second. In the beginning of the phase, they just swapped out black guys and were like, just go with it. And now you have such a cultural icon that they were not recasting for that very reason. For me, that's a 5 out of 5. Last but not least, Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Um, 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
It was fun. Yeah. It
Hey,
was fun. Kevin Bacon was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that he was game. It's always fun when you find actors, whether they be A list or B list or whatever, that are game to have fun and play in the space and just do whatever. Um, they made this revelation, and we talked about spoiler alert. They made this revelation that Mantis was Star Lord's
Star
half
Lord's sister.
sister,
Yes.
and I don't. And we talked about it when we reviewed it. I don't know if that's supposed to be a
Big reveal.
yeah. Like I don't know the way if it was supposed to be a reveal or not. It didn't really hit me. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Um, so that was kind of like I don't know how I should feel about this. But overall, yeah, 3 out of 5. It was fun. A lot of fun.
Um, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Um, it was fun as far as at the end. I love the song, the Christmas song that they sung, Star Lord, and tried to give him Christmas. I think that whole idea is something that's missing in a lot of these. Um, just doing stuff for just because it's fun. James Gunn helmed it, so it to me it embodied the characters. I I will say I was a little when the cops showed up and they were like the cops started shooting Drax and that like it bounced off and I was like, well, all Negroes just need to be Drax and we won't be scared of the cops anymore. Like I had that moment because the world we live in. I thought it was 3 out of 5. I thought it was fun. I'll watch it again around Christmas time. The family watched it, so I enjoyed it. So that's the entire phase. And the reason why I wanted to do this exercise is we've talked about this phase has a lot of heavy lifting. We talked about the phase as a whole didn't have a lot of didn't have a lot of direction. But here's the breakdown. How many movies do you think you gave below a 3 out of 5?
Oh,
Or
not many.
so you gave Black Widow, Eternals, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, I Am Groot. All of those were below a 3 out of 5. That was 5.
And that was
Everything else,
movies and TV shows, not just movies.
yep.
Right.
Everything else is at least a 3 out of 5 or more. You had four. So WandaVision, 4 out of 5. Loki, 4 out of 5. Shang-Chi, 4 out of 5. Hawkeye, 4 out of 5. Um, I didn't write down No Way Home. My bad. I
I
thought
think
it
I said 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
sure.
Miss Marvel. So it was a 5 out of 5. But She Hulk, 4 out of 5. So you had five things that were at least 5 things that were a 4 out of 5, and then you had um, you liked more than you disliked. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's why I say that this phase was had a hard time. But I think when I think you break it down and look at each individual movie and you look at it as a take them each as they come, the phase isn't that bad. It's just that we don't have that Avengers at the end of the phase like we had every other phase. You had, because it's like, think about Game of Thrones sans last season, right? Every Game of Thrones season had the second to last episode was this huge episode. A lot of them had these big battles: the Battle of the Bastards, the Battle of Winterfell, the battle at um, King's Landing, and then they had another episode that was like, okay, shit happened. What's going on to happen next season, right? That usually tied itself together. That's how the phases went. This was the first phase that didn't have that, where it was just stuff, 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 intro, 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 sequel, sequel, and you're like, am I just supposed to watch these movies and just enjoy them? And Marvel's like, yeah, and it's like everything. Perfect example. People were complaining about the DCEU. What's the point of watching Shazam, Flash, uh, what are the other two? Blue,
Aquaman.
and Blue Beetle. People are like, "What's the point of watching these if they're not going to tie into something?" And it's like, because they're movies, and you watch them to enjoy them. I think we've gotten on this train where everything has to tie into something else with the MCU and the DCU to a certain extent.
I mean, to be fair, those studios implemented that too.
I, they did that, but I think they also did it because they were telling a story. But I also think in some of these, you can just watch the movie and just enjoy the movie. And I think we've gotten away from that, um, because we come to expect all of this to tie together at the end on a nice, neat bow. So um, now that we've talked about it, how would you rate the phase? Like, you gave it a
Uh, Overall, I give it a 3.
okay.
Yeah, because my issue is still we got a lot of tendrils out there. It's the thing I said at the beginning. We got a lot of tendrils. I need some stuff to tie up. It would be one thing if there were a bunch of tendrils in a phase one where you got 6 movies, but you, like you said, you had 17 different
Hmm.
pieces of entertainment. That's a lot
Hmm.
to keep track of. So I just want to see some stuff start to tie together. And maybe with beginning of phase five, we kind of got that. You know what? We didn't spoil Ant-Man and the Wasp. We don't need to because we're not talking about it. But maybe we kind of got that with having Kang in there and seeing, okay, we're seeing where they're going. So let me just see more of that stuff. What's the next thing? Guardians? Yeah. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, let's see where it goes.
Um,
What you
for
rating
me,
it?
it's still a 4 out of 5, maybe a 4.5, depending on how I feel. I look at this and I say one, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At a 17, I have 9 things that are at least a 4 or a higher. Um, so I enjoyed this phase. I think there was some definite missteps, but I think part of it has to do, you have to take in consideration these movies were released in 2020. So that meant that they were definitely impacted by COVID and how they were supposed to come out when they were supposed to come out. Um, I think this is a lot. And I do like the idea of Feige saying, you know what? We're going to back up. We threw a lot at you. Um, I liken I liken this to, somebody said, "Is Paul McCartney a good artist?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "Paul McCartney was in the Beatles, and then Paul McCartney was in Wings. Is Wings any good because you're always comparing his work to the Beatles?" And so when people say, "Is Phase Four any good?" Can you really objectively ask that question without comparing it to the other phases? And I think that's the uphill battle that this phase and every phase is going to have from now on, because you're following the Beatles. And so it's, if you ain't playing, if you're every night you're not bringing it home, you know, playing at Madison Square Garden, it's always going to be And
Did you change your what you were doing because you couldn't think of a Beatles song?
no, I couldn't think of where like the places that they played,
Okay.
like
Abbey
where was
Road is the big thing. That's their recording hall or whatever, isn't it? Abbey
yeah,
Road
like I
kind of
couldn't
thing.
think of like where like when you think of Queen, you think of Farm Aid, and you're like, holy shit! Like you know you think of these concerts, or you're like, oh man. Um, so it's like it's very hard to have an objective opinion without comparing it to the phases that came before, because there's in 2 years you had 17 pieces of content. It's it's almost not even fair. And part of the and let's be honest, part of the conversation is there are more women and people of color in this. If you look at all the phases, you didn't get a movie helmed by somebody who wasn't a white dude until what? Phase 3,
Yeah, that sounds right.
February 16th, 2018, Black Panther. So it took you almost 10 years. And you didn't get a female led until 2019, which is Captain Marvel. So that plays a part into this. Um, David Cooper, I think it was Farm Aid. Um, or was it Live Aid? Was it Live Aid or Farm Aid? I'm trying to remember, but it was whatever they sold out, and you just look at the sea of people, and you're like, holy shit. Um, but yeah, so a lot of the backlash has to do with it's not a bunch of straight white guys anymore. More people are sitting at the table. Um, so you're going to get all of that mixed in with this. Is this phase any good? Now that we've talked about phase 4, we've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania, phase 5.
That's a different discussion. We've been talking for 2 hours.
No, no, I'm projections.
What do you mean? What do you mean projections? Give me more examples. What are you asking me?
Do you think
Like, do I think it's going to be good?
do you compared to phase 4, do you think now that you're a little bit more objective with phase 5, then can you be objective with phase 5 knowing what's coming?
After this discussion, I am. It was fun to look at these projects individually. I am still just cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I just need stuff to tie together. I've given you a lot of leeway. 17 projects. I've given you a lot of leeway for 17 projects. That's
MC would say
fine.
I've given you a lot of shit.
And maybe we can go back to Marvel fatigue and slow down. I mean, they got rid of Chappick and brought back Iger, and Iger's like, yeah, we're gonna slow down how we roll this content out.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
Disney recognizes, okay, we can slow down a little bit. This is a lot to go. So I mean, I think slow down, curate it, make it as good as it can be, for whatever. Um, but I am excited. I'm not. I'm still seeing Marvel movies day one or day two or within that first week for the most part. I think I've seen everything. Even when I thought I wasn't going to be able to see it, I saw it pretty close. Well, Ant Man, I think I saw second week. But other than that, I mean, I'm still excited when that stuff comes out. And I think that's just me just being excited to see stuff. Like, for example, as much as I don't like the DCEU, I'm going to see all that stuff probably within the first week or the second week. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to wait until it goes streaming. I want to see it in the theater. So,
Well, I'm glad I saw Black Adam streaming.
man,
I'd ask for my money back. I still want my money back from that. Um, so yeah. All right, we're going to wrap this up. We appreciate those of you who have been here, listening, watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell. Hit all notifications because I put a lot of stuff up on asking questions, and I will play streaming sometime tonight. Uh,
doing some
um,
Cyberpunk still?
yeah, still doing it. I'm still enjoying. I really enjoy that game. That's what got me through the week. With all the craziness that's been going on. Cyberpunk and comic books. What about you?
Still watching. I think I'm falling back in love with wrestling again. Watching these documentaries has got me hyped and has got me examining matches more in terms of the story they're telling, why the two wrestlers do their match. So that's been a lot of fun. I've actually been watching as part of Peacock. I've been watching every single WrestleMania starting with number one, just to see like, man, wrestling loves to do stereotypes and racism, but I guess it's cool because it's America. It's okay. We'll figure it out. But
Vince
it's been fun.
McMahon. What did you
Yeah.
expect?
No. It's cool, but it's just when you don't think about it, it's fun. It's interesting to go back and actually watch it. Like, oh, geez, all right, here we
Yeah.
go. That's what it is. But beyond that, I mean, it's fun to see that stuff. And in terms of video games, I've been playing Hi-Fi Rush, that game that
Mhm.
came out from the
I
people
heard it's
that
really
did.
good.
It's a lot of fun. Um, it's a lot of fun. It's free on Game Pass. I don't know how much. I think it might be maybe 30 or 40 bucks if you have to buy it, which is
Mhm.
kind of a budget title, which is nice. Looks great. The soundtrack is fun, and it's a rhythm game, which I love. Nice surprise shadow drop from a studio that's normally known for making horror games. So,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, people, we appreciate the support. Uh,
will we be live next week? I don't know.
yeah, never know. We
No.
may have to tape it. Just depends. So I'm gonna go attack my wife. Hey, man, it's the kind of house we
Sir,
have.
sir, it is Women's History Month.
She started it. She posted something of mine that I told her to sell at cheap prices, and I was like, "Are you just trying to give away my shit,
Mm,
lady? I paid good money for this.
hmm
You need to sell it and get good money back." So
hmm
yeah, we're gonna have a nice discussion about that because I think she's trying to hurt me.
Fantastic.
Yep. But anyway, I'm glad you guys were here. Glad to talk to y'all. Even you, Michael. Even you.
I hate you so much. Yeah, I will say this. I'm glad that we can give you guys content Saturday nights with that's tape, but it's definitely a better show when we can have a live audience and chat and just come up with stuff off the
Yeah,
dome. I definitely do like that. But yeah,
yeah. But we appreciate all of y'all. So we'll give you guys a good night. I know Chris Rock's live special was dropped tonight. So,
oh
and I
yeah,
think
sure.
Saturday Night Live was live tonight. So,
All right, folks.
all right,
Later.
deuces.